Hello everyone and welcome to this video where I'm going to be answering one of the most common questions that I see on my Discord server and on YouTube, and it is, what should I build? Now, inspiration and trying to find ideas is a problem that all of us come across, and I'm going to be presenting 10 ideas that I think and hope will be able to help you out in sort of finding yourself building something that you are interested in. Now, of course, I understand not everyone has the same set of skills and not everyone knows how to build everything, but that's a-okay. You build what you know and the rest will come. You will gain an experience, you will gain the understanding, and you will be able to build more advanced things. So, I don't even build, for example, with nuclear power, and not because I'm not interested, but just because I have so many other things that I'm working on currently that I don't really find myself needing to build using nuclear. So, that said, we're going to dive right into number one here. The first one is to recreate a real-life vehicle, which is a replica build. Now, you can take this to the level where you build inspiration from something, such as a lot of my vehicles. I mean, this is no secret that this is a Silverado, look at it. And then you have things like these K-trucks. You have this one, which is actually based on a Toyota concept that was for SEMA. You have all kinds of stuff, including this, which is obviously a play on a Chinook. And this is, again, smaller type of helicopter. And then you have the real life counterparts. These are users, these aren't mine, that actually physically built creations based on real life examples. And nothing says you have to build it using inspiration. You could one-to-one make the actual thing, and that is a-okay. So you can get ideas from practically anything and anywhere, whether it's from a movie you see this thing in, or whether you're just searching the internet and you type in, cool helicopter, and you get an example and then you build it. Now, people love seeing replica builds in the workshop, so I would say those have a distinct advantage because the branding is already there. So things like this, all these exist in real life. They're already branded. Now, I'll talk about branding a little bit later, making your own brand, but making a one-to-one exact replica of something, it doesn't lack creativity. It in fact uses and requires a ton of it because you have to use the Stormworks examples and Stormworks ability in designing something in this game. So just using a real-life counterpart, product, and vehicle lets you have a starting point, an idea, an example, drawing sketches, sometimes even architectural plans of the thing, and you could then build that. Starting with a sketch or brainstorming. Believe it or not, the Avala, it started that way. So it actually started off on paper as a sketch. Now the sketch was severely different than what you're looking at here. It's actually much shorter, stubbier, and different. But the point is, I'd made a bullet point list next to my sketch and I said I wanted it to have a moon pool. I wanted it to have the ability to land a helicopter. I wanted a boat on the back. I actually wanted this sort of diving chamber window with the ability to kind of dive from a room, so kind of a concealed diving location. So I ended up brainstorming a bunch of ideas and concepts, drawing a rough sketch, and then I was able to sort of start implementing those ideas here in the game. Now, that does require more creativity because you actually have to have sort of a starting point of ideas, and in my case I was also developing all of these sort of side builds as I was designing this ship just to be able to place them on the thing. But having that sketch, that starting point, saved me a lot of trouble because in addition to just designing something that I wanted to, I was able to also load the thing with a bunch of features, and not to say especially in the bridge with all the various systems that you have, it is pretty much fully loaded and brimming with all kinds of technology and all kinds of stuff. So taking an idea, a concept that you have in your head, putting it on paper, making a sketch, and it doesn't have to be a good looking sketch. It could be a terrible sketch. It just can serve to get you going on developing something. Now this one may be a little controversial, so just hang on, don't get too upset, but looking at other people's builds. However, do not copy, do not steal, do not take someone's build and change it, recolor it, and upload it. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is opening up a build that another user did and then studying it, taking a look at their style, their ideas, seeing how they put doors, how they put the various systems and functions, how things work, how things interact, and then using that idea in your own creation. Now, not stealing it, but taking inspiration. This Chinook by Mr. NJ, I actually opened this up and referred to this when I was designing my own Chinook. Now, I did end up copying or taking inspiration from this overhead crane system. I really liked that. Originally, I didn't have an overhead crane, but then I revamped it. I took this as a basic starting point idea and take a look at mine. You can't say that this is anything similar, but the inspiration came from it. So if you have some sort of creation that you have in mind, something you want to build, it isn't a bad idea to pull open the workshop, see what others have done with respect to that, and then end up making your own. So just taking ideas, remixing them. You could see this ROV, beautiful thing, really like how it looks. Well, I made an ROV that drew inspiration from this design. Now, I did not take a single element of this and copy it into my design, but rather what I did, pulled it open and saw how they did it and then made my own. Now you could see it kind of looks similar. It kind of has the hat on top with a bunch of the tech below, but I made it fully from scratch. So I recommend you do the same thing. Don't steal, do not steal. I beg you, don't steal, but just use it as sort of a clipboard, a springboard, a thing for taking ideas and then making your own designs. Now, taking a look at Lego and taking inspiration from Lego sets. Now, funny enough, I did have the Lego challenge, and these are some of the creations that were submitted to me. But what I really find neat is that Lego follows a system very similar to Stormworks, and it also follows a building technique similar to Stormworks. So you can actually take Lego sets, you see all these, and you can either make your own or make them. Nothing's stopping you from making them. So you see these are all actual Lego sets. And what you can do is use the ideas that Lego gives and either make it or evolve your own creations from it. And the nice thing is Lego has a ton of different sized sets. So something for every skill level. If it's just as simple as building kind of these cool little storage containers on wheels, or a whole truck, or a formula car, or a ship, or really creative things like these blimps and things. So you really have the ability to build a lot of various things, and drawing inspiration from Lego, if you're truly stuck, is a really good way to go, because the scale's kind of right, the style's kind of right, and you could copy it or you could take inspiration. Number 5 is ask ChatGPT or other AI tools. Now, I tend to avoid this because my head is brimming and overflowing with ideas, so I don't really refer to ChatGPT for ideas, but I will admit the barge, the OMA barge, the work in progress barge that you see here, I actually did ask ChatGPT to give me a list of tech that you could see inside a high-tech barge. And I then developed this system or this whole creation using my head, not using anything other than a photo on the internet of a barge that was still quite different, but then using that as my absolute starting point, and the list of ideas from ChatGPT, I ended up sort of making this. Now, what it gave me things like, oh yeah, put, a helipad. So now on the roof I have a helipad. Put a airlock. Now I'll see if I have an airlock or not, or maybe just a moon pool here. Obviously this version can't have a moon pool because the engine's right there, but I was able to pick and choose the ideas listed from ChatGPT in the design of this creation. So it's not cheating if you use it to your advantage and if you use it for kind of good. So you're not in school, you're not in an exam, you're building something here in Stormworks for fun. So wherever your inspiration leads, that is a-okay. Number 6, developing a brand. Now, obviously I have several brands that I've designed and developed, taking inspiration, so using item number 1 from this list from real life factories or real life companies. So in this case, you could see a lot of these are Chevys, but it doesn't have to be. And you do see other things like these, including things that are drawn from other vehicle brands, and the sky's the limit. So I was able to kind of develop things based on what I want. And because it is your fictional brand, well, you have the ability to do whatever it is you want. And not just that, it also can lead you to other types of creations. I mean, I made all these cars and then I'm like, well, I need a building for it. So I made a dealership. So the sky's the limit. You could use your brand to make all kinds of things. Now, again, I'm showing you an example of a vehicle, but you can make a helicopter brand. You can make a drone brand. I've done all those. And the nice thing is, then you end up with shared paint schemes, potentially shared logos or design elements. You kind of replicate the idea, and it makes it a little easier because then you start thinking, well, what else does my brand need? So it's no longer just as simple as, it's not as complex, thinking what I'm going to build. You now have a reason to build everything. It's not, and they kind of supplement each other. They feed from one another. So a brand, or making a brand, is a really good way to kind of spark creativity and inspiration and go from one creation to another quite seamlessly. It's almost going to be too easy. You're going to be overloaded with ideas, and hopefully it'll help you. You're building a fleet in the end. Number 7 is similar but a little bit different. Rather than making a brand, you make a faction, a company, an organization that requires all kinds of different vehicles. So OMA is one of my examples, Alta is one of my examples. They require a whole network of boats, of cars, planes, helicopters, trains, all kinds of stuff. So with developing a faction, you now have shared branding, you have a shared purpose, a shared objective. So in the case of OMA, it's quite obvious they are a underwater and oceanic research company, but in addition to having a fleet of ships, they have to have facilities, they have to have supporting vehicles, land-based vehicles, all kinds of stuff. And then you can also make sub-factions or brands, and the world's the limit. So you really have the ability to do a lot of different things with that. And not only do you get a shared color scheme, you just get a shared objective. So making a faction gives you quite a clear way to develop things and feed ideas off one another. You're not limited to just making something that is one-dimensional in a sense of being repetitive over and over again. So if you're not into making a brand like a car, you could make a faction, and that gives you forever ideas pretty much. Number 8 is working with a friend or talking to the community. So this also goes back to my initial thing of people asking, what should I build? Well, this goes one step further. It's actually going into the community and writing with the community, building in essence with them, getting ideas from them, etc., etc. Also building with a friend. For example, this DSV here, I developed with Sheppy5. He is one of my Discord server admins, and him and I worked closely together on the Aquanaut project. In fact, he took the original ship and retrofitted it, giving it the original style, including kind of some of the diving bell elements that you'll see and the moon pool elements. And then I sort of took the project on from him and added in a lot of my own creations, the cranes, the supporting creations, and then I would say polished it up. So I ended up adding the little details, I would say, and then him and I had a list, kind of a checklist item, and we went one at a time through this checklist to make sure the Aquanaut is loaded with features. Then we went through testing phases, made sure everything works, all that good stuff. So you can build with a friend or with a member of the community, collaborate, or just engage the community in developing something that you and they are interested in. Just my one piece of advice of asking the community what I should build is don't expect a ton of enthusiasm. Keep in mind, people are building their own things, they're working on their own projects, so most likely you won't have people that are ready and willing to just wait with you on every little detail, but certainly you can gauge the understanding of the community and you can develop things alongside them. You just have to be motivated by yourself. You got to be self-motivated and not relying on that community. Using design constraints or challenges. Now the challenges thing is easy in a sense that you find a YouTuber or someone hosting a challenge, such as myself. I had the shipwreck challenge. People made a bunch of shipwrecks. I know other YouTubers and members of the community host build challenges, but you can also do self challenges or self-design constraints. The reason I'm showing you these vehicles is because these were one of my favorite acts of miniaturization. So it was easy enough to build the electric version of the golf cart and the electric version of the quad. Easy enough in a sense that you just throw the batteries in and it's all sort of good to go. But what about the motorized version? Well, that was a whole different story. For them, I actually had to take the body of the electric one, gut it, and then see how small I can make these little motors and set them into these creations. Of course, there is ways to exploit the game, and I don't mean exploit in a bad way, I just mean to use the game and end up with other types of things. And I'm talking about XML modding. You could make an invisible microcontroller, you could stretch things, so that could be your design constraint. That's all good. Not against using XML modding. So you can use that, but in my case, I didn't want to. I set a challenge that I wanted to just use the vanilla parts in a more or less realistic size, because of course I do have my original horrendous ATV that now I laugh at because that was my original thing, but at the time I was proud. I thought, all right, I made a really cool looking ATV, but look how inefficient the design is there compared to how efficient the design is here. So I did end up learning a lot between these two. That's fine, but you give yourself some sort of limit, whether it's parts, whether it's no jet engines or tiny or small or large, or, you know, whatever the case may be, and your creativity will thrive under the constraints. Last but not least, don't force it. You always can walk away. This is not your career unless you are lucky enough that it is your career, but for most of us, including myself, I do this for fun. So if I can't force myself to build something I want, I'm better off leaving it. There are tons of times I come home, I'm excited, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to build something. And I open up the workshop, and all of a sudden I lose all motivation. And I just cannot bring myself to build anything. And I'm struggling with ideas. I'm feeling annoyed. And I get more annoyed thinking, oh, I have all this free time finally. I wanted to build something and it's not happening. Well, don't do it. If you don't have it, if you're burned out, if you're not feeling it, walk away, do something different, play the game differently, do missions, or play another game, or go outside, hang with your family, whatever the case may be. You have the world is your oyster, the actual world, and if you're not feeling up to making something here in the game, don't force it. You are just going to get more annoyed. And actually, this advice is a life advice coming from all kinds of stuff, including when I work on cars. If I'm actually working on my physical car in real life, you know, reaching into the engine, grabbing all kinds of tools, taking things off, you'll only mess the thing up if you're not in the right state of mind. You'll break a bolt, you'll lose a part, something will get messed up. So if you're not in the right state of mind for building, don't build. Maybe play multiplayer, maybe do missions, or whatever the case may be, but take it easy. So there you have it, 10 ideas for making creations, getting inspiration, and hopefully ending up with something that you actually want to build and that you are proud of in the end. Now again, it can't be forced, and again, everybody has different skill levels, but you can use your skill level and decide on making something that you want. So hopefully these ideas will help you. Whether or not you will implement all of them, that is a-okay, but perhaps at least you can seek some of these instead of asking everybody what I can do. You don't always get the answer you want, and sometimes you do want to kind of gauge the community, but sometimes you just want to use your own head. You see a really cool thing in a movie, you watch Avatar, you see that cool helicopter, or you watch James Bond, you see the car go underwater. Well, make that. Absolutely. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, these 10 tips. Let me know in the comments if you have more of your own tips, your own advice, kind of your own procedures when you are lacking inspiration. And I do want to give a huge shout out to all of my YouTube members and to my Discord server boosters. These people really do help me and they help the community. They help my Discord in giving it the extra functionality. They help my YouTube because I'm encouraged to pre-release creations, pre-release videos, and kind of more so work with the community in a sense. So that is the benefit that the supporters bring everybody, but also they also get to enjoy certain benefits. They get to enjoy certain pre-released creations and all kinds of stuff like that. So I do thank each and every one of them. Huge shout out to them, and a huge shout out to each and every one of you in the community, because without you I wouldn't be doing any of this. So thank you all for watching, for supporting, for commenting, joining the discussions, all that good stuff. I do appreciate all of it, and I really am excited to release some of these creations for you. So you'll see this drone, it is currently released, and you can play with this in your own game. So thank you for watching, and until next time, happy Stormworksing, everyone.